this world, people who can really think only 3%, and the rest are just working for others' brains. It's not prejudice, it's a psychologist who spent his life drawing a pyramid. He divided human thinking into 6 layers. The bottom is repetition, and the top is creation. Most people, all their lives, never leave the first level. The opinions you see every day, the positions you share, and the people you curse. None of your ideas are your own. Your brain is not thinking, but running logistics for other people's thoughts. And those at the top of the pyramid only need to throw down an emotion, and the bottom will automatically operate without instructions or orders. It's better than algorithms. This person is Benjamin Bloom. He is an educational psychologist at the University of Chicago. In 1956, he published a paper titled Educational Objectives Classification. This paper was originally written for teachers. The purpose was simple: to help students from rote learning to step-by-step to deep thinking. But Bloom himself did not expect that the pyramid he drew would become an X-ray of the entire human society. It's all exposed. The pyramid has 6 layers. I'll take it apart layer by layer. The bottom layer is called memory. In other words, it's a repeater mode. Others say something, you remember it, and then spit it out exactly. This is not thinking, it's called recording. But guess what? 90% of the speeches on the internet are on this level. You scroll through the comments section for 10 minutes and 50 comments, they all mean the same thing, just in different words. This is typical first-level thinking, with your mouth moving, but your brain is not working. The second level is understanding. It's a little higher than memory. Not only can you repeat, but also explain it in your own words. It sounds good, right? Right, but there is a fatal trap in this level. It will give you an illusion that you really understand it. There is a psychological term called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The more ignorant people are, the more confident they are, because they don't know what they don't know. This second level is the breeding ground of the dork effect. These people can debate with you for 3 hours, but if you ask them why, their entire argument will collapse like paper, and it collapses instantly. The third level is application. They can apply what they have learned to practical problems. To be honest, it's just the level of using tools, not the level of thinking. The real watershed starts from the 4th level. The 4th level is called analysis. In this level, your brain starts to do something completely different. You no longer just absorb information. You start to dissect the information, like an engineer disassembling a machine. What is the premise of this view? What's the broken link in the logic chain? What assumptions are hidden behind it? But this level requires one thing, which is the scarcest thing in modern society: patience. Analysis requires you to stop and endure the pain of not understanding. But most people precisely choose to give up at this time. The 5th level is evaluation. This level is more cruel because it requires you to make a judgment. When you have 3 viewpoints in front of you, each of which seems reasonable, you must decide which is the most important and which one can be abandoned. It's not an intellectual issue, but a matter of courage. Most people would rather be audience forever than to stand up and say, "I think," because saying it means you may be refuted or be proven wrong. So they choose to hide in the crowd and repeat others' conclusions. This is the safest. The top of the pyramid is creation. Creation doesn't mean you have to draw a picture or write a song. In Bloom's definition, creation means you combine all the things you have learned at previous levels, recombined, and generate a new thing that has never existed before. At this level, you are no longer a consumer of information, but you become a producer of information. But the question is, why do most people stuck in the first two levels for a lifetime? Is it because they are stupid? No. Is it because their brains are against them? In 1984, two psychologists, Susan Fiske and Shelley Taylor, proposed a concept called cognitive miser. What does it mean? It means that the human brain is naturally a miser. The brain only accounts for 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of your body's energy. Every time you think deeply is a huge expense for the brain, so it tries its best to prevent you from thinking, using intuition instead of analysis, use emotions instead of logic, and use others' conclusions instead of your own judgment. You think you are lazy. It's not your brain that is lazy for you. What's worse is that all the designs in modern society is designed to help your brain be lazy. How does social media work? React in time, quick anger, quickly agree, and quickly take sides. You don't need to think when you like. You don't need to understand when you retweet. You don't need to analyze when you curse. The platform doesn't care if you understand it or not. What the platform cares about is how long you stay. Deep thinking is a disaster for the platform. So the algorithm of the platform is essentially a machine against thinking. Its goal is to keep you at the bottom of the pyramid forever. There is a more hidden force that keeps you at the bottom, which is identity recognition. Have you noticed that many people grow up, their views never change? It's not that they don't want to change, but they can't, because those opinions are no longer opinions, but a part of their identity. I belong to a certain camp. People like me should think like this. Once an idea becomes part of your identity, you can't objectively examine that idea, because questioning that idea is questioning yourself. The pyramid is compressed into a plane here. No need to analyze or evaluate, only need to belong. And here is the most ironic discovery. Psychologist Keith Stanovich found that people with high IQs do not use fewer mental shortcuts than ordinary people. In other words, smart people are too lazy to think. And even worse, because they are better at justifying themselves, they are more likely to entrap themselves at the bottom. They can make up more exquisite reasons for themselves to explain why they don't need to climb. So the key question is how to climb up. The first step is to slow down. In a world where everything is accelerating, slowing down is the most radical behavior. Your brain can't analyze in the reactive mode, can't evaluate under continuous stimulation, and can't create in a state of fragmented attention. So the first step is not to learn more knowledge, but to learn to be still. Stay with an idea for more than 10 seconds. Don't rush to the next one. Thinking starts where impulse ends. The second step is to learn to endure pain. Deep thinking is never comfortable. When your brain encounters complex problems, it generates a similar feeling of muscle soreness. Psychologists call it cognitive friction. Most people stop when they encounter this feeling, thinking they are not smart enough. But the opposite is true. That pain is evidence that you are climbing up. Just like people who work out know, muscles only grow when they are torn apart.
The same goes for the brain. It upgrades when it is uncomfortable. The third step is to learn to hold two contradictory thoughts. People with low-level thinking can only accept one explanation and one position. But as you go higher, the more you will find that reality is never black and white. Real masters can stay in contradictions and stay without collapsing and not anxious. You have to admit that you don't know. Socrates said that the only thing I know is that I know nothing. It's not humility, it's the ticket to the top. A person who thinks he knows everything is impossible to learn anything new. The fourth step is to make judgments. Not a judgment in the comments section. After comparing all the evidence and weighed all the pros and cons, and stand up and say, I think this is more important. Real judgment means you are responsible for the conclusion. But this is also the moment when you go from to an independent thinker. The fifth step is to create. Integrate all your analysis, evaluation, and insight into a brand new thing, a new solution, or a new perspective on the problem. This is the top of the pyramid, not because it's the easiest, but because it is the furthest from imitation. But I want to tell you something that many people don't know. Bloom's pyramid actually has a hidden seventh layer. It's not in the original paper, but later psychologists added it. This layer is called metacognition. What is metacognition? Means that while you are thinking, you can also observe how you are thinking. You find yourself being led by emotions, and you can pull yourself back. You find yourself defending an untenable point of view. You can ask yourself if you really think it's right or because it makes me feel comfortable. Metacognition is like putting a mirror in your brain. At this level, the traps at the bottom, emotional manipulation, identity kidnapping, cognitive miserliness, all of them will fail to work on you. But finally, I want to say that the top of the pyramid is not an end, but a daily practice. No one can stay at the top forever. You will rise, you will slip down, and you'll climb again. Some days you're on the 6th floor, you create, and sometimes you go back to the 1st floor. The key is not where you are now, but whether you are still climbing. Every time you choose depth over speed, you choose curiosity over certainty, you choose reflection over reaction, you are climbing up. Every time you say to yourself, wait, is this really right? You are climbing up. Climbing up in a world trapped at the bottom is a revolutionary thinking in itself. The ability at the top of the pyramid is not about being smarter or who knows more. It is a kind of freedom. It's that you can hold your brain in your hand and see every prejudice and every blind spot, and then make a new choice and understand the world in your own way.